you want the highest possible yield potential for harvest 2023, then look no further than this variety, Champion. Aptly named, this swept all challengers before it to top the recommended list from harvest 2021, and it's managed to achieve that with remarkable consistency across the different regions and sites. Across our 7 frontier development sites, this managed to top the tables at 3 sites and came second at a further 2. So it really does have an incredible pedigree for outright yield. If we look at the AHDB yield data, we can see that in addition to outright UK yield, Champion is top for eastern yield, for yield in a first and second cereal situation, and for yield on heavier soils. Remarkably as well, Champion has the 3rd highest outright yield in untreated trials, and that's something that we very rarely see with these high yielding feed wheats, suggesting that Champion is able to back up this yield with a very well-rounded agronomic and disease resistance package. Let's look at those disease resistance ratings in detail then. The breeder DSV, who have brought Champion to market, are well known for breeding very high disease resistant varieties, principally for yellow rust and for Septoria tritici, which are the main 2 threats to our wheat crops in the UK. Normally though, that comes at a trade-off in yield and sometimes in bushel weight as well. Champion has an 8 for resistance to yellow rust and a 7.7 for resistance to Septoria tritici, which is a truly outstanding score for a feed variety. Overall then, Champion has got a well-rounded disease resistance profile with no obvious weaknesses, and it also comes with orange wheat blossom midge resistance, something that increasingly we like to see in our varieties to lower the burden on any potential insecticide sprays in a year where midge pressure is high. You might have noticed that Champion has the variety Reflection as one of its parents, and that may raise some eyebrows because that was a variety that broke down very badly to yellow rust. The good news is that we've seen no signs of that with Champion whatsoever. In fact, DSV's breeder, Matthew Curtin, made sure to weed out any potential yellow rust weaknesses very early in the breeding process when bringing this variety Champion through. This Champion is a sprinter. It's a big biomass, high tillering, very fast developing variety that shoots out of the blocks in the autumn and the spring. We noticed it in variety demonstrations that when we came round in November, December, the vigour of the Champion plots was truly outstanding. That means this is a variety that is well suited to later drilling. In fact, for growers that are going to be following maize crops or later lifted root vegetable crops, Champion would be an excellent choice. For much of England, I would recommend a drilling window starting in October for Champion, maybe moving into late September as we come up through into the north of England and Scotland. Now, no variety is perfect, and Champion does come with a couple of points we should watch out for. The first is straw strength, and you can see in this untreated plot that it is a taller variety, and it sits on the recommended list with a score of 6 for lodging when not treated with a PGR, and 7 when treated with a PGR. So what that tells us very clearly is we need to be using a sensible PGR program on Champion, and it's also a reason to push it further back in our drilling window towards that October or even November slot. The other potential weakness for Champion is bushel weight. I mentioned that it's not unusual for very high disease resistance to come with a trade-off in bushel weight, and we've seen that with Champion and with other varieties from the breeder. Overall, with a bushel weight of just under 75, it's not a disaster, but I would recommend perhaps steering clear of lighter land sites where droughting can put bushel weight under pressure. And I would also consider partnering Champion with another variety that brings higher bushel weight. That brings us on to this variety, KWS Dorsum. And in many ways, I think these are perfect partners for sowing in autumn 2022. Whereas Champion is edging it for yield, it's very much going to be the variety for that late part of the main drilling window and later drilling, whereas Dorsum would sit perfectly well in September. I mentioned the trade-off that we have in Champion with specific weight. Well, that's absolutely made up for with this variety Dorsum. So as we go through towards the autumn, I think if I was a grower, I'd be looking at both of these varieties for my farm. They complement each other in all the right ways, and you'll know with these 2 varieties that what you're sowing has the outright yield potential to take you through to harvest 2023 in a time of, yes, volatile, but at the moment very high commodity prices. As you would expect, when a variety as attractive and as headline grabbing as Champion comes along, there is real interest and seed can sell out very, very quickly. That's likely to be the case for this coming autumn. In fact, I'd be amazed if we hadn't sold out of Champion by the end of June. So don't delay having a conversation with your farm trader or agronomist about this variety. If you want to be taking advantage of it in its first year, get on and get the seed order placed quickly.